you know, because we're where we are in the capital county of the Caucus state, we are fortunate to have a lot of people coming to visit us recently. And we are very lucky today to have not one, not two, but three elected officials here that would just like to say a couple words. As you know, back in March of 2015, the Polk County Central Committee passed a resolution in favor of the District of Columbia becoming a state. You may see that there's resolution signs and some other things around here too. We're encouraging people to pass that on to their platform. But with that said, I would like to introduce United States Senator from the District of Columbia, Paul Strauss.
Thank you very much, Tamara, and thank you to the Polk County Democratic Committee. I had the privilege of addressing you back in February of last year. Not only were you courteous, but in March you passed that resolution supporting D.C. statehood, and you promised to make it part of the caucus process when we came back here. And in the best traditions of Iowa, you have kept your word. And in your caucus package, you will find a proposed D.C. statehood resolution that we are asking all of the precincts to pass and move on to the caucus platform committee. For those of you that are not aware of the facts, the American citizens who live in the District of Columbia don't have the same rights that you here in Polk County or the other counties in the 50 United States do. For example, my constituents get to go to the polls and vote for me on a ballot that says United States Senator, but when I go to the United States Senate to advocate on behalf of them, I can't vote. Our non-voting delegate to the House of Representatives can't vote, and the other members of my delegation, Senator Michael Brown and U.S. Representative Franklin Garcia, who I'd like to call up to join me here, also cannot vote. That is so against the values of our democracy, so against the values that we hold dear, that we are counting on you in Polk County and around the state of Iowa to help end this injustice. You have the ability to use this process to pass these resolutions on to your state convention and make them part of your national convention, and it just means the world to me and my constituents. So the resolutions in your packet, we did come bearing some gifts for every caucus precinct chair that pledges to get our resolution. We have a D.C. statehood mug, and I'm really glad I brought these. Whoops, now that I know the cell phones are going to be so important. These are portable cell phone batteries. They say, don't let Washington be powerless. Support D.C. statehood. But they will keep those smartphones charged during your caucus. Now, just a word of advice, though, you have to recharge these. Don't be that guy who calls me up and says, you know, that charger worked great for a few days, but then it just quit on me. You know, they're batteries like everything else. And then we want you to take one of these posters. And I have to tell you, I have been in this statehood movement a long time, but I just love this poster. First of all, your state capitol building is one of the most beautiful capitol buildings probably that I've seen anywhere in this country. And the way that this poster, it really is. And the way that this poster is designed, and I'm not a graphics person, I don't know if it was intentional, but when I look at this, what it says to me is that Iowa has D.C.'s back. And I have to tell you how much that means to your fellow Americans who live in the capital of your United States who were denied those rights. And I know that it also means just as much to Senator Brown and Representative Garcia. So I do want to ask them to just say take a few more seconds of your time because what you're doing is so significant and so valuable to us. Senator Brown.
This is what you get to do if you're the junior senator. You get to be the easel, so always get elected first. Now, we really want to thank you for this. You know, Iowa has a proud tradition of standing up for equal rights. The first woman lawyer admitted to the bar was from Iowa. They led the gay rights movement in this country, and we're proud that they're standing behind us. You know, this is a political anachronism that goes back to the beginning of our country when we didn't let women vote, we didn't let African Americans vote, we didn't let Native Americans vote, we didn't let veterans that served their country but were under the age of 21 and didn't own property vote. And we're the last bastion of this, and it's time to include the people of the District of Columbia. We have 200,000 people in our city who have served in the military. We have 30 Congressional Medal of Honor winners in the District of Columbia. The man that wrote our national anthem was on a mission for the D.C. National Guard when he wrote it. The man that wrote TAPS is a Congressional Medal of Honor winner from the district. We have been part of America since America began, and it's time to end this anachronism, and it's time to get people around the nation to stand up for us, because if we could make ourselves a state, we would have done it 200 years ago. So you have an opportunity here to start the ball rolling. Thank you so much. And just on a personal note, I've been in politics for 35 years, never been to the Iowa caucuses. This is like waking up on Christmas morning for me and finding the one toy you thought you'd never get. So thank you very, very much.
Our United States Representative Franklin Garcia.
Thank you, Senator Strauss. My name is Franklin Garcia, and I'm very excited to be here today. You know, this is the first time that I've also visited Iowa, and I am so excited to be able to view the process and witness this awesome process. So I'm very, very excited. No doubt you've heard a lot of different topics throughout this election cycle, whether it's Affordable Care Act or the challenge we have with immigrations and all these different topics. One topic that you haven't heard much about is the injustice that happens in the nation's capital. More than 670,000 American citizens who pay federal taxes. In fact, they pay more federal taxes per capita than anywhere else in the U.S. and who serve in all branches of our military don't have anybody that can go to the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate and vote on their behalf, and we need to change that. And you are in a very good position to send a message, a strong message to the nation, because this is a national call. So we're very excited about the movement, that, and we thank the Iowans for D.C. Statehood, who are doing incredible visibility work on our behalf. Currently, the U.S. House of Representatives has 129 co-sponsors for our statehood bill, which is very, very positive, and we're just very excited about the momentum. So please help us achieve statehood for D.C.
All Democrats. All co-sponsors of our bill are Democrats. And Bernie Sanders is a co-sponsor, and Hillary Clinton has always stood up for our rights as well.
Thank you, Senator Brad. I'll take questions if Tamara says we can, yeah.
What is the hesitation about this, and why is it taking so long for this to come to light?
Well, one of the things that's been missing from this movement is the type of grassroots support that we're getting out here from so many Iowans supporting D.C. statehood. The tradition of D.C.'s disenfranchisement originates in the very worst traditions of racism and segregation in our country. There was a very unfortunate reason why Southern folks wanted the capital located in the South. It really didn't have as much to do with federal control over troops. The government of Pennsylvania kept refusing to return escaped slaves when the Southern officials would come up, and so it was very important, part of the Great Compromise. It continues today really through the worst traditions of partisan gridlock. There's not a lot getting done in Washington, and certainly statehood for D.C. is one of those things that's not. But what really we need is Americans from around the country to say that it's wrong. It doesn't matter how D.C. is going to vote or who they're going to elect. They're Americans, they have rights, and they deserve the same rights that we all do. So hopefully we're starting something big here today. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're talking about the permanent residents of the city of Washington, D.C. Would have the voting rights to elect the representatives. Am I understanding that correctly? I mean, we're not talking about the government officials or their temporary...
No. The District of Columbia is home to more Americans than the states of Wyoming, Vermont, for example. Most people who live in the District of Columbia don't have anything to do with the federal government. And so how statehood works is there is a federal portion. We simply shrink the District of Columbia to the federal portion, and the remaining residential portion that has nothing to do with the federal government, that contains universities your children might attend, hospitals your healthcare workers work at, homes, schools, joins the Union as the 51st state with all the rights of the other states.
Now, is that the flag you're proposing for your state?
That is the flag of the District of Columbia. It is based on George Washington, the father of our country's own coat of arms, and we are we have a flag, we have a state flag, we have a state bird, we have our own license plates. What we don't have are the rights of other state residents as American citizens, and that's what we need. This can be done by simple legislation. It does not require a constitutional amendment because we're not abolishing the seat of government. We're simply changing the boundaries of it to include only that federal portion, very consistent with the framers' vision, but not anything that requires changing the Constitution. In fact, what it does is fulfill the promise of the Constitution for your fellow Americans that don't have the constitutional rights that you all take for granted. And as we see today, work very, very hard to make sure that all of us in the country get to benefit from. So thank you for your, let me thank you for your service. We are going to be outside putting the squeeze on you to personally commit. I know that I have to let Tamara come back and close this out, but we have very much appreciated the opportunity to come talk to you here today. Thank you very much.